This is Jake Ciely, and I'm the blown ACL that ruins your football season.
Good news, everyone! Let's get dangerous.
This is so cool!
I know!
It feels so right! It's Jake Ciely.
I'm sorry, who is this?
Nice try, Moonman. Pretending not to know. Earth's greatest mastermind!
You just made the list!
I thought you said that was a myth.
Just because it's a myth doesn't mean it's not true.
If you all blindly follow my plan, we may have a chance.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
Game on, you Ducks. It's the second week of the playoffs, or first if you're in a 10-team or shallow league, but hopefully whether or not you're in the playoffs, even if you're eliminated, you're just here for the fun. You're here for thinking about next year, or maybe just enjoy the podcast a lot, like my friend Devin. There's a shout out to him just to make him listen to this podcast. We are going to talk to Jay Felicio today and talk about the situations with a lot of wide receiver situations that we don't know what to do as of today. Well, we might. Well, that's what we're going to talk to Jay about. But also tight ends, if you lost Patrick Mahomes, Michael Carter being the hot pickup of the week, and all sorts of things in the ranks. But before we get to him, let's talk about some things that I'll just cover for you, as I usually do. First off, playoff tips. I know I say this a lot, my columns, my rankings, and other podcasts everywhere, every year, but just as a reminder, block your opponents, block your opponents, block your opponents. I got hit one year. I've been a victim. I waited and said, hey, you know what? I don't need a backup quarterback. I'm pretty much set. I'm going to continue to stash backup running backs, which we'll talk about in a second. And my opponent saw that I had an injury heading into the championship game. And unfortunately, he had fab left, and I did not. Grabbed 3 quarterbacks, and I had to play Johnny Manziel in the championship game. So don't let that happen to you. And why I say block and get your backup, so make sure you're doing that so your opponent might fall into that trap of no backup tight end, no backup quarterback. Again, Patrick Mahomes, that's why we're going to be talking to Jay about it, and all sorts of things, but including your bench doesn't matter anymore. Pretty much get your backup running backs, the high-end ones. I'm not talking about going all the way down to backing up Devin Neal with Audric Estime, but your big names like Josh Jacobs with Emmanuel Wilson, obviously, but other situations like that. Even if you have Tracy, Singletary, because we know Singletary will get the vast majority of the touches, Hubbard behind Dowdle, and all the rest like that. And then 2 defenses if you don't have one that could play both weeks like the Houston Texans, look for a defense for this week and next. Get ahead of your opponents. And like I said, block and make sure your roster is set to go. That's all that matters right now is your opponent and you. Well, more so you than your opponent, but you get my point here. So let's talk about some of those running backs. Like Devin Neal, I just said, if Devin Neal is out, I don't have him in the ranks, and you can go and scroll and see that Audric Estime and Evan Hull are way down the ranks. Actually, the usage, very limited of our sample there. It looked like Evan Hull might be the lead, but Estime is kind of somebody we know a little bit more between the tackles. Hull maybe in the passing game. Point being, do not rest your playoff hopes on either of them. Devin Neal would be Devin Neal if he's in there. If Alvin Kamara surprisingly comes back, obviously that knocks down Neal, but if Neal's out and Kamara is back, Kamara basically just takes Neal's spot. Did you get the chalkboard outline for that one? Josh Jacobs is very simple. If Emmanuel Wilson steps in and Josh Jacobs is out, he goes right into that RB2, high-end RB2 conversation. Actually, for him, I would consider Emmanuel Wilson over DeAndre Swift, pushing top 15 at running back. With RJ Harvey, if he's out, Jaleel McLaughlin would be the answer, though I will only have him as an RB3 because it is Sean Payton, and Sean Payton does Sean Payton things, and I wouldn't trust that. Woody Marks sounds fine. If Woody Marks is out, Jawar Jordan steps up, similar to Devin Neal, fringe RB2 with a lot of volume. He's kind of a Antonio Gibson, Jerick McKinnon type if you didn't see the waivers, so that's what we could expect from him. Chris Rodriguez got in a full practice on Tuesday, so now it is complete, full-blown. Committee is back, and just avoid everybody. Chris Rodriguez is ranked the highest, but he's still only an RB3. Not a great matchup, and if somehow Jalen Carter plays, it gets even worse, as you know. Maybe Jared McNichols if you're super desperate in a PPR, because you would hope, or expect, I should say, not hope, depending on which side you're rooting for, but expect the Eagles to get out into a lead and force the Commanders to pass a little bit more. Let's talk about wide receivers since we're talking about passing. Drake London, if he plays, boom, inside the top 10. They said they weren't going to risk him. They might even shut him down for the season. So if they're going to play him, top 10. Drake London's right back. And obviously that would knock down Kyle Pitts a little bit from being top 5-ish, probably more so around tight end 8-9 range. Marvin Harrison, if he comes back and plays, knocks down Michael Wilson to a wide receiver 3, unfortunately, because we saw what happened with Jacoby Brissett last time in that one game. It actually won in a little bit of a change there, is that he likes him. Brissett likes him first, and if he's not there, then Michael Wilson is a top 10 wide receiver pushing top 5 like he has been, because Jacoby Brissett, look, he's going to be a freaking second half playoff fantasy MVP. Speaking of which, if you didn't check out the column this week, random playoff performances that likely got started in leagues since the 2000s, and it was a fun one. Thank you, Kyle Pitts, for that list. Continuing 2 more situations, Ricky Pearsall sounds highly doubtful. If he somehow plays, the 49ers are not going to risk him unless he's ready, so he would be a wide receiver 3. And then lastly, T. Higgins with a concussion. I wouldn't be surprised if they just shut him down for the season. But if he's out there, Joe Burrow would jump back up to a top 10 quarterback. I do not have Joe Burrow as a top 10 quarterback without Higgins. I think he really needs him. You watch this offense, it just does not work as well without Higgins, even as much as you can pepper Jamar Chase. We know how good he is. I would move up Burrow, but as of right now, not top 10. Oh, Justin Jefferson. This might be finally the week. This is, if you saw, I've been pushing him down. I've had him down. I've been one of the lowest on Justin Jefferson, saying, how do you even start him? Take the name off the jersey. But he is facing the Giants. And I'm sure you guys saw, and if you watched that game, J.J. McCarthy did, with intent, try to make Justin Jefferson happen last week. So I'm willing to risk it as a top 25 wide receiver, but that's all you can get out of me. I'm hoping we finally get the hit this week. If anybody still has him in the playoffs at this point, because you might have got eliminated. So, as mentioned, let's get to the guest. Jay Felicio, somehow still a Giants fan, and over at QB. Actually, you know what? You can tell everybody, because the QB list team is growing. The landscape is growing. Like, you tell everybody what you got going on, Jay. I already do enough for everybody else.
Yeah, well, I am this is my first season as a lead analyst over at QB List, and we will actually, Jake, we were just talking about it. We're going to have a lot going on in the off season as well. More, there's always been a little bit here or there, but we're going to have, to borrow a phrase from another sport, a full court press in the off season as well. We got a great team over there. I do a start sit series once a week that I literally go through every game and make a recommendation. And it's not your typical start sit with just stats, Jake. Sometimes I send you little snips of the jokes that I throw in there. And we're shooting for the type of, atmosphere or feeling that you're just hanging around BSing with your friends talking about fantasy. And that's kind of what we go for. So some jokes mixed in, some memes and everything under the sun. And it's been, I'll be there next year as well. And it's going prettle well.
Well, congratulations again on that.
And thank
nice
you.
To see you working for Wise. Don't tell people that. Then they're going to know that I'm a nice person. You don't want to tell people that. That's honestly, that's got to keep the mystique going. I actually tried to prevent you from getting the job. How about that?
Just edit that out. There you go. Yeah. And you kicked me in the shin too when I saw you.
I actually pushed you in the street. I was trying to get you run over in New York.
That is true.
We are going to talk fantasy football this week. Shout out to Nick Pollock, by the way, who working over there at QB/pitcher list. One of the nicest dudes. Getting married. I wasn't invited to his wedding. That's how you know I'm not a nice dude, because he's not. It's in December, so I'm pretty sure he knew I was busy. But we have a huge pickup-ish at this time of the season. Why does it always feel like it's the Cardinals that we end up talking about when it comes to the playoffs and running backs? Right? It's like you go all the way back to the David Johnson days, and it's like there's always somebody. By the way, if you saw my fun list, and I'm going to, of course, ask Jay for his contribution on this, but the random, so it wasn't like, oh my God, Jamar Chase had 50 points. Everybody's starting Jamar Chase. That's not a surprise.
Kamara, 5 touchdowns on Christmas Day.
Right.
We know that one.
I mean, that was a huge surprise, but it wasn't like, oh my God, it's a surprise that he's actually in lineups. So it was the random best fantasy playoff performances, including number 4, Kenyon Drake in 2019, replacing David Johnson. And it wasn't just week 15. He followed it up with another 31, almost 32 points in week 16, which was championship week back then. So that was the thought process behind the entire list. But we're not talking about Kenyon Drake. We're not talking about David Johnson. Also, we're not talking about Trey Benson, because he's been gone for a while, never came back. We're also not talking about Bam Knight, who people have been using, because now Michael Carter's time to shine for about the 7th time, it feels like. It was every single time we turn to Michael Carter. But we also know that if they get in a pass-catching situation that he can do it, but it wouldn't be surprised if Dave Mercado is more filled in that situation. So the question here, Jay, is not so much, do you pick up Michael Carter if your waivers haven't run? Do you think he's a decent start? It's how far would you actually go? It's championship week. Like, we don't want to get cute. I already told people I'm not starting. I don't care if they even announce Estime is the starter with Devin Neal out. Like, I'm not touching Estime versus Evan Hull. You ever want to go down that route? Maybe you play in an 18-team league? Cool. Thumbs up by you. But this is more realistic. Like, Michael Carter, where does he fall? Like, do you think he's in the conversation with Daddle and Hampton? Do you think he's further down with, like, the Gainwells and Manon guys? Like, what are you doing? Because people are considering starting him, and it is the second round of the playoffs, or first if you're in a shallow league.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not a situation where I want to force him into my lineup. It's not like, oh, I've got the handcuff and, the starter's out. This is a situation where we think we know how it's going to go, but we've seen not only with the Cardinals, but pretty much we've seen it with the Chargers. We see it all the time. You think you know how a situation in the backfield is going to go when the starter is out, and it goes completely sideways. And that's not something that I want to risk on championship weekend. Same thing with, like you said, the Saints. Same thing if Woody Marks is out. I don't want to even touch the Texans backfield, whether
Jordan.
it's Nick Chubb. Yeah, exactly. Like, the guy didn't have a carry all year.
If there was no Nick Chubb and no Woody Marks, I'll toss this out there. I would actually start Jordan over Michael Carter because I would trust that workload similar to Devin Neal with the Saints.
Well, Ngubawale's been playing all season. I know he's not a feature back, but I think he'd be involved enough to keep.
Yeah, but the Goon's trash, though.
Yeah, but he's been getting work. We've seen, Ramondre Stevenson's trash, and he still keeps getting work.
All right, well, then let me give you a straight toss-up. I'll give you a straight, and rankings change, situations change, the projections, whatever. But just like if this is Jay Felicio's team and you've been limping at the running back position because people might have gone wide receiver heavy, whatever it might be, people might need, Michael Carter. As I shouldn't drink an energy drink while I'm trying to stay awake. Like Michael Carter, I'll give you two toss-ups. Michael Carter versus Tony Pollard against the Chiefs. It has to be this. This is the whole point.
No, that's a very, that's a very likely scenario. If you're searching for scraps in the trash at running back, I would probably go with Tony Pollard just because we see these random guys, as we're going to talk about later, with these out of nowhere fantasy performances. Sometimes random guys just get hot and back to back.
Tony Pollard's been garbage, and all of a sudden he's going to be a fantasy playoff winner. People are going to ride Jacoby Brissett and Tony Pollard's to championships this week. All right, I'll give you one more for Michael Carter then. How about this one? One of the worst possible matchups in the league. And before I even give you the worst possible matchup side of it, like who it is, because I don't want to completely give it away, I will tell you this running back in the last 5 games, 37 at running back, 5th, so he did finish pretty good one week, 34th, 43rd, 41st. He is a first-round NFL drafted rookie running back. Ashton Genty against the Texans or Michael Carter?
Oh, man, that hurts.
I
was actually looking. That's true. There, many of them are. I was trying to look. I was looking at Genty earlier. I still think I'm going to go with Genty just because Kenny Pickett's going to have to, if it's full PPR, because Kenny Pickett's going to dump the ball off a million times, and that can elevate his floor. And if Genty's got the talent,
that's because
to
he can't throw it 15 yards downfield. So
it's baby hands.
A little bit difference.
It's baby hands, which I can't talk. I have small
Why
hands.
They always talk about his hands like that. There's been plenty of quarterbacks with small hands that can throw it 15 yards. Like, I'm not asking him to throw it 50 yards downfield. And just ask, I don't know if you saw the tweet that I put out yesterday, as a sidebar real quick here, but you want to know how bad it was? His yards per attempt last week was 2.6. Since 2000, there's been 9 quarterbacks with a lower yards per attempt. Just not even 10 since 2000. They're crazy. Listen to these names, by the way. Tarvaris Jackson, Ryan Lindley, Brandon Allen, Chris Winkie, Cooper Rush. You want to know who the lowest is? The lowest since 2000 in yards per attempt for a single game. It's 1.8. And he's a Hall of freaking Famer. Omaha Peyton Manning had a week with 1.8 yards per attempt in 2015.
I was going to say, was it that last season? Because yeah, he was definitely out there like Krang, basically playing with his mind, and that's it.
Whose arm is worse, Philip Rivers right now, or that final season of Peyton Manning?
That final season of Peyton Manning, like that was a noodle arm.
Whose arm is worse, final season of Peyton Manning or Jake Ciely's right now?
Jake Ciely's. Sorry.
Okay. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't think you see me throw though. I can zip it.
Throw it over
I got
the
big hands. I got the long fingers. Oh, two mountains, dude. Let's get out of here with that. All right, number 2.
Real quick too, before we jump, Pickett has a 15% check down rate last week. So yeah, I'll take that.
That's where the yards per attempt came from. All right. So speaking of quarterback, I wanted to move to this one because this is similar to Michael Carter in a different facet. We lost Patrick Mahomes. Good news is we don't have to see that quartet during the playoffs anymore, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Actually, sextuplet, like I don't know if you include the brother and whatever he's got going on. Like I was going to say, basically, like, all of them like together. So we have no Patrick Mahomes and his wife. We have no Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, and we also have no brother and whatever he's doing in his life with girls or whatever.
See, I thought you were talking about the whole thing about this will be the first playoffs in however many years with no Brady, no Manning, no.
Yeah, that one feels like this could be like, it's the first playoffs since no Dan Marino and John, like, what's with the overlaps? Like, I don't like the over, like, and this has nothing to do with, like, I thought my tweet would blow up a hell of a lot more than it did. I thought the more interesting one was the one that I tweeted out that I had ready to go because I was looking it up, was that the last time they missed the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes was a freshman at Texas Tech as a backup, not even playing yet. The NFL version of the Chiefs were 9-7 and missed the playoffs barely. And also, Tom Brady only had 3 rings. He was heading to his 4th that year. That year, he was about to get his 4th ring in the Super Bowl. Like those, and the one thing past that, and I don't know. I'll think about it while we're doing the podcast if I'm going to edit it out afterwards because there's a certain word. You'll see what I'm saying in about a second. Sean McVay was the offensive coordinator and Raheem Morris was the defensive backs coordinator of the Washington Redskins at the time. That's what I might edit out because it wasn't the Commanders. I know. It wasn't the Commanders at that point. That's how far back we have to go.
Hey, well, like they say, Commanders legend, and they're like Clinton Portis. Like Clinton Portis never played for the Commanders. Like I understand changing the name, but you got to figure out something better to do with that situation.
Yeah, because you don't say Peyton Manning, Baltimore Colts legend.
Right.
It's a different team. Anyway, all right. So Patrick Mahomes, you don't have Patrick Mahomes. You need to do something. Here's my thought. I don't want to go like quarterback versus quarterback here. This is just my thought process for you, Jay. And I want to see your thought process. You're the team that lost Patrick Mahomes. And mine is like, all right, you can go to the waivers and take a flyer on Mariota. He's facing the Eagles. You could go chase Sam Darnold, which isn't throwing touchdowns anymore, against the Rams this Thursday, depending on when you're listening to this. It might already happen. You could go Shuck. You could go Caleb. Like, there's names out there, but mine and where I immediately gravitated to is not even Justin Herbert. And so it should be a good matchup, but I don't know with the contraption on his arm, and I've been watching that offensive line and Justin Herbert, and I don't have a lot of faith in that. I'm shooting for top 10. I'm trying to replace Patrick Mahomes. There aren't a lot of options out there. So as crazy as I might say, but you know this team as well, I'm just going to go for J.J. McCarthy against the Giants. It could blow up in my face, but I just watched his second best game of his career. I saw that he tried to and almost connected with Justin Jefferson on 2 touchdowns, and he gets the Giants secondary, and that's just why, like, I'm going to shoot for that. Like, if Dart is out there, same thing on the other side of the ball. I'm shooting for top 10. I'm not shooting if I lost Patrick Mahomes just to get me 14 points and QB 18.
Yeah, I'm with you. As soon as you said it, I knew you were talking about it. I was just writing about him before we hopped on here. Over the past 3 weeks, it was 2 starts for him, but he has 2 top 10 finishes, the 3rd best QBR in the entire NFL, 5 touchdowns to 1 interception. It's got a top 5 matchup. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'm not going to play it safe. I mean, unless you're the super heavy favorite and you just want to guarantee 12 to 15
that you don't
points.
Get a 0.
Right, yeah. But I'm with you. I like McCarthy. I ranked him as a QB1 this week.
Wow, you're more aggressive than I was. I was trying to get him to QB1. Well, you know what? Here's one.
QB1-ish,
I will say this.
so like 13, 14.
Okay. Well, okay, here's a toss-up, and this is another one. This wasn't even on the little docket that I sent you to kind of talk about. And again, like, this isn't like, oh, Jay's 100%, you're stupid if you disagree. Like, this is just conversation that we're having because people are making these decisions. I was surprised that ranking Trevor Lawrence 12th was way above consensus. Like that, I feel like Trevor Lawrence, if this was his rookie season, everybody would be ranking him as 10, 11, 12 because the last 5-6 games, he's been the Trevor Lawrence we wanted him to be. He's been the Trevor Lawrence throwing into tight windows, running and being comfortable. That's the biggest thing I always brought up about Trevor Lawrence is that once he got to the NFL, you lost Clemson Lawrence, who was comfortable enough to run because he was seeing the field well. And I know it's at Denver, but unless the weather becomes a factor, like this is where I don't want to go too far with matchups. Look, if it wasn't Denver, if it was honestly Pittsburgh, I'd probably have him pushing top 5. The Denver is the only reason I have him at 12, which is still way ahead. Most people have him like 17, 18. So Trevor Lawrence, one, how do you feel about that? But Trevor Lawrence versus J.J. McCarthy, where would you go in that situation?
So when you said 17, you hit the nail on the head because that's exactly where I have him ranked this week. And I did similar. I had a really, really
Why
hard
do you hate
time
Trevor Lawrence?
I know. I hate him. I had him as high as I think 10 at one point. And, I'll throughout the week, I'll adjust things. And I wouldn't be surprised if I get him pushed closer to that borderline QB1 range. It's just the defenses that he's done it against. It really hasn't impressed me that much. And I'm a T-Law fan, actually. You can ask our good buddy Laquan Jones. He gives me crap because he calls him mid Lawrence or Trevor or mid, I don't know, something like that. But I was in on him this year with Cohen coming over. I don't trust him against Denver. It's simple. Sometimes it's that simple. It's, getting back to full strength, got Surtain back a few weeks ago. I can't rank him any higher because we've seen stretches like this from him. And then all of a sudden the bad Trevor comes out. I'm not benching him for McCarthy.
I mean, it sounds like you have McCarthy in front of him.
I think McCarthy, I would go McCarthy, but like him, let me pull up the list.
Would you go your boy Jackson Dart or Trevor Lawrence?
I would go Dart I have him ranked higher right now, but that's a toss.
So I hate that I was right and wrong about Dart last week. So I was hesitant because here's where I'm going with this. I was very hesitant because he hasn't been throwing for 200 yards. He hasn't been throwing for touchdowns. Everybody knows to make the joke that he's Daniel Jones of the Giants, and that's who he is right now. He definitely has a higher ceiling.
Exactly what you texted me on draft day when I texted you. What do you think of the pick?
And he is. And right now he still is. He still has, look, I expect, watching him as a rookie, I expect his ceiling to be much higher. I expect better version, if he can stay healthy. But I was curious. I was going to say, I don't want to just throw him out there because the game right before the bye, they reined him in. They actually did not call a single design run. He still ran, but not as much. Also because they weren't called design runs. And it's like, this is another one, kind of what you're saying. It's like, I wanted to see it. I wanted to see that the Giants were still going to be like, all right, we're not going to stop you from running. They did, but also the garbage time got him out of that with the freaking turnovers. Like, he was going to finish, even with the rushing, as like QB 14. And that's around where I had him. I'm like, look, this is what I called. And then the freaking Commanders fumbling twice in scoring range. And I'm like, you kidding me? And then of course he finishes like top 6. And I'm like, screw you with this whole thing. So anyway, I want to go to tight ends because we have another situation where people are like, oh my God, you and I did the same thing as long as we've been doing this. Me longer because I'm 75 years old. So you would get to the point of the playoffs and you're like, trust the people who got you here. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, okay, because they got you here might be only the last 4 weeks. So I bring that up to say this. If you trusted my ranks last week, by the way, I was the only one in the entire industry ranking this guy as a tight end 1 last week. Ha ha, industry. Colby Parkinson, because Colby Parkinson went into that game the previous 4 weeks 5th at tight end. He had become the 3rd answer on that team. Last week, that bumped him up to now 4th because the only 3 tight ends ahead of him the last 5 games, McBride, Kittle, and because Kyle Pitts went bananas. But I don't know why I said it like that. Bananas. Bananas. As I get on that banana truck. I mean, what just came to mind? Damn it, Bobby. That's what came to mind when I said.
Didn't they do a reboot of that? I haven't watched it.
They did. I never watched it. But anyway, so I have Colby Parkinson at 4th, but here's where it comes into play. Because the uneasy feeling, and I already saw this in the comments of my article, and I agreed with them, the uneasiness is saying, by the way, that's in front of Brock Bowers. That something feel like your stomach starts to kind of turn a little bit, like you just ate some sour bread or something, or you're kind of and then at 6th is Darren Waller, although now we have Quinn Ewers at quarterback, so I might bump him down a spot or 2 just because of the risk. Because I actually think Quinn Ewers can play just as well as Tua, but there's the unassociated risk of it should be better, honestly.
Hopefully.
But who does he trust? Who does he turn to? Does he turn to Darren Waller as much? So anyway, it's not so much about Waller with the Ewers because that kind of threw a wrench into this whole situation. But the next one, even not in this conversation, let's keep going. By the way, I was completely wrong about him. To take the victory lap on Colby Parkinson last week, I still had Tyler Warren inside my top 10. The thought process was right. Targeted the most by Philip Rivers. Nobody was targeted more. And just go back to those yards per attempt, it ended up equaling Jack Diddley. So I have Tyler Warren.
Just as easily been him catching that touchdown to Josh Downs. It just happened to be
It could,
Downs.
which it's going to be over the intermediate field. So Parkinson, Waller, I mean, let's go ahead and do it. Throw in the conversation of Brock Bowers and Tyler Warren. Championship week, playoff week, semifinals week. I don't know how the people listening to their leagues are set up, but you're in week 16. Your lineup, Jay. How would you rank those four?
It's an important week, whether it's the semifinals or the finals. I was going to say, obviously semifinals, but my brain went to finals for some reason because it was the finals for so long.
No, somebody texted me last night and they're like, I'm in the finals. What would you do? And I was like, wait. And I actually broke my brain. Yeah, no, because I was like, wait a second, hold on. It's week 16, right? I didn't miss a week. Like we didn't skip something here. Right. I don't know why. Maybe their league didn't want to play on Christmas, whatever it might be. But anyway, so who knows? And how would you rank those four for this week, whatever it might be?
I have Parkinson. Admittedly, I was hesitant on him, even as good as he's looked. I'm ranked 3 this week. I mean, you can't deny he's got he had 2 touchdowns against Detroit. It's 6 in his last 6 games. He's averaging over 5 targets per game in his last 4. And the matchup, the Seahawks have bled points to the tight end. I think they've given up the 6th most points to the position. No Devontae Adams. I would not be surprised to see him. Actually, I might put a few shekels on an anytime touchdown for Colby Parkinson because, we saw this. Who was it? Higbee. Higbee did this a couple years ago where he went on this random stretch at the end of the season.
Yep.
And it's something that I've had to deal with. Like you said, those of us who have been playing fantasy sports since we didn't have live scoring and we had to wait the next day, or I'm not far as back as, tallying up from the newspaper, but didn't have live scoring at first, but it always was, play your studs, play the guys that got you there. But you've got to, it's a calculated risk. And I would do it in a heartbeat. I'm going Parkinson easily over Bowers and who was the other? Waller?
Tyler Warren.
Trust
Tyler Warren too, though, but that's the bigger one.
Yeah. I watched a lot of that game.
Go back to Waller. Would you go Waller or would you go Waller or Bowers?
Ooh.
That's an interesting
Who does
one.
Vegas play again?
The Vegas plays Houston. No, we talked about that earlier with Genty.
That's right.
I know. I want to put Bowers behind Waller, but I don't know if I could go that far.
But that's one of those that I don't know if I could make. I don't know if I could do that because I don't trust Waller. I mean, yes, he had the 2 touchdowns last week, but he's still only playing, I think, around 50% of snaps at most.
Right.
He had 5 targets last week. The weeks before that, I think he had 5 combined. And we don't know what this offense is going to look like. Everybody, myself included, rightfully so, 2 weeks ago was going goo gaga over Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews
kids?
against the Bengals. Yeah, can you tell? And they fell flat on their face. So I would probably in that situation, I think I would still go Bowers just because I'm hesitant to trust Darren Waller.
Okay. All right. Oh, I forgot to do a fun question. Like we're supposed to mix it in. So we just kind of, all right, let's see. Fun question. First one. I was supposed to do it earlier. Threw myself off. Favorite fantasy random performance since 2000. It could be multiple weeks, like I said. So my number one for everybody out there, if you haven't checked it, the first one that came to mind because I actually had him on my fantasy team and actually rode. I kind of wanted to combine them because it was Billy Volek and Drew Bennett. And if you had both of them, the 1 weeks, especially in week 15, I think it was, they combined for like 80 points, just the 2 of them, which was insane. The only problem is why I didn't put him first. So my number 1 was Jerome Harrison. So Jerome Harrison for the Browns in 2009 was Jamal Lewis's final season. And he had 3 straight weeks of production. He actually had 48.8 as a replacement with that 286 and 3, that record that he had for the Browns at the time. And he followed it up with 19 and 22 points. So this dude was like a fantasy MVP. On the flip side, Billy Volek and Drew Bennett left you hanging big time in the championship game. It was bad. So that's why I can't put him first. So was there one that came to mind? I've already mentioned my top 4 is Harrison, Volek, Bennett, and Drake. So you could go check out the rest of the list. But I know you said that you're surprised that it wasn't in my list. So I'm kind of curious who you have to say.
Yeah, the problem is most of these surprise performances have knocked me out of the playoffs. A couple came to mind when you said David Johnson, and I don't know. I thought about going with Chris Polk. I don't know if you remember. I think it was like 2014, 2015. Thursday
Did anybody
night.
start him?
No, but it was one of those.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. You have to like start him.
Right. I had LaShawn McCoy. He had 3 touchdowns vultured from him. 2 from Chris Polk, 1 from Darren Sproles, and I lost the matchup by 5 points. So not that I'm taking, accounting for it or anything like that, but Tim Hightower in 2016 hadn't played for 4 seasons. Mark Ingram got hurt. Came in. He was okay the first couple of weeks, but then I believe it was week 16 against the Jaguars. 27 carries, 122 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also chipped in 3 catches for 40-ish yards.
That would be another one. I'm curious.
Yes,
actually it was.
I faced him. That's why I know it so well, because at my it was one of those seasons. Just everything clicked, and I had an undefeated team going in. I was the heavy favorite, and everybody just fell flat on their face.
That's a good call.
And actually, the guy who had him started the season off. It was either 0-5 or 0-6, and just got hot at the end of the season, and basically pulled the Giants.
You know what I thought you were going to say
with that?
When you said that, like, I'm surprised it didn't make my list, I thought you were going to say Ron Dane that one year. That's what I thought. That's where I thought you were going. It was a 3-game stretch. But the thing is because you remember who Ron Dane was. It was like 20-something points that one week where he scored the touchdowns and had the huge rushing. And the next 2 weeks were like 16 and 15 because he doesn't catch anything. And like so there were good games, and you know what? It's a valid point. Like Ron Dane, maybe 11th on the list, but especially because it was 3 weeks of usability. I mean, that's a top. I mean, you're still talking about even 16, 18. You're still an RB1, so it's a good argument for the person that brought it up. But that's why, because somebody had already mentioned that in the comments. All right, 2 more things. Got to get out of here. Pushing my limit over here. The stupid dogs and kids that you got going on.
Yeah,
quick
somebody
hits.
was running late or something. I don't know who.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was all about. All right. Packers wide receivers. We're going to do 3 wide receiver situations. I'm going to lay them out, and you add to your my thought process or whatever it might be. So Packers wide receiver situation. I'm assuming no Christian Watson, which means for me, Romeo Doubs, he's fine. Jaden Reed is the highest ranked, but I'm going Golden over Dontavian Wicks because they kind of rotated. But it looked, I know you did for everybody out there to watch the game, Jordan Love looked to actually try to get to Golden a little bit more than he did Wicks. And it's just one off, but I just saw the fact that like Golden was kind of playing the Watson role. Again, Hail Mary situation. I do not want to do this in the playoffs, but that's how I'm presenting that. The Bears, I have Burden in, Odunze out. If that's the case, Burden and DJ Moore are both top 25, 30 at worst. If Burden is out, I think Loveland becomes a tight end 1, and Zacchaeus is your Hail Mary play, similar to Golden. And then the Broncos, I have Pat Bryant in because that's the easiest way, where Pat Bryant, I think, just ruins Troy Franklin. I don't want to use either one of them. But if Pat Bryant is out, Troy Franklin is still only a risky wide receiver 4 for me because Sean Payton's going to Sean Payton and rotate the wide receivers. There's my 3 situations laid out for everybody. Your thoughts, additionally, different, whatever it might be.
Pretty close to my thinking across the board. I'll say I would rather not have to go with even Golden or Wicks. But yeah, like you said, he had 4 targets last week. 3 of those, Golden had 4 targets. 3 of those came after Watson left the game. And we have seen the flashes this year. I mean, it's been short. There was 1 game early in the season. But yeah, I'm with you there. On the, I really don't want to go with Dubs. I mean, I would rather take a dart throw somewhere else. Dubs, whatever. But I have no interest in him. I know he's had a couple of big
you're
games.
Thinking you're not going to get Dubs if you use Dobbs, is what you're saying.
Exactly. There you go. The Bears, I kind of feeling that Burden doesn't play. He didn't practice yesterday. If he is in, I'm with you. I have DJ Moore as a wide receiver 3. But if Burden's in, I don't want to play DJ Moore or Zacchaeus regardless. I don't want to play Zacchaeus regardless. DJ Moore, if Burden is
So you don't
back-
like DJ Moore even without Odunze?
Without both of them, I do.
Without both, but if it's Burden and no Odunze, you're more hesitant than I am.
Yeah, I just think I'm with you.
Okay.
I think Loveland's going to be a tight end 1. He's borderline already, and then if one or both are out, I think top 7-ish or so.
Post him.
I just don't. Again, we've seen games here or there. DJ Moore is sprinkled in 20-point games, and then had less than 5 the next 2-3 weeks. So, and it's not like it's a great matchup, even though they don't have Micah Parsons. The Packers defense is still pretty good. And Broncos as well.
I saw you shaking your head. Yeah. That
Yeah,
you
with
agreed
Pat
that
Bryant. I mean, Franklin is he had a bounce back game, but that's because Bryant wasn't on the field.
Yeah, Bryant usurped him, and seemed like I know that now it's the question of whether it goes back or not, but that's the whole point. Is the fact that it could go back or not is they don't want to mess with it. All right, I want to get you out of here with some fun so you can take this one. I tell everybody you have to pick your poison here. You have to pick one. You can't make addendums. You can't. I always refer. Michael Florio tried to be like, well, blah blah blah. No, there's not no well. Like it's just no. These are what they are. There's no So here's your options. Get these 3, and you have to pick one because it's a poison pill. That's the whole point. First one, you have to root for all your favorite team's arch rivals for the rest of your life. No questions asked. So you have to root for UNC. I knew that would burn you. You have to root for the Eagles. You have to root for the Phillies, Braves. Arch rivals for the rest of your life. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're Yankees, not Mets. But anyway, that's what you have to do. Your arch rivals are your new favorite teams for the rest of your life.
I don't care what you say for the others. That's not happening. So,
Number 2, every night you go to bed, you open the door and you see a cockroach scurry away. And one of the big water bug cockroach. I'm not talking about like the little food ones. Nice water bug. You're from North Carolina. You know what I'm talking about. Water bug cockroach. He scurries away every single night and you can never find him. Number 3, your only mode of transportation for the rest of your life is a pogo stick.
Well, it's definitely not that one because I cannot go more than once or twice on a poker stick. It just, I don't have
You'd eventually get good at it.
I don't think I would because I've tried and it never happened. I could never ride a skateboard. Balance just isn't there. It's not my thing.
You're going to go with the cockroach?
Well, I was about to say the cockroach until you said you can't find him. Yeah, I'm going cockroach because, as you said, I live in North Carolina. I'm used to that.
You're just going to befriend him, like with the one movie. What's the movie where the cockroach
Wally?
is like supposed? Yeah. You're Wally, is what you're telling me.
Exactly. I live out in the country in North Carolina. I'm used to seeing bugs. It doesn't. Now, my wife probably would move and burn the house down if that was the case. But I guess I'm. I mean, I don't have cockroaches in my house on the regular or anything, but I'm used to seeing bugs. So it. And if he crawls up and I accidentally eat him, it's a little extra protein. So what's the worst that can happen?
You didn't have to go that far. That was really disturbing.
I would rather eat bugs than pull for UNC, Dallas, or Boston. The only way I would ever pull for one of those teams, if one of my kids went to UNC, I would become a Tar Heels fan.
Oh, well, I'm going to try and convince one of your kids to do that.
Hey, if it's paid for, I'm good with it.
Remind everybody what you got going on for the rest of the season. Find everything over at QB List and all that good stuff.
So we are putting out stuff for those sickos that play all the way through week 18. So start sit will drop tomorrow. We have our ranks drop. We have a rankings team over there with me, Brian Hartman, who you met. Have you met him yet? I know we talked about him.
I met so many people, but maybe I don't know if I've met him yet.
Eric Bromoff, who you did meet. Steve Pintato. Yes. Four are the Rankings Avengers for QB List. Drops every Wednesday and Saturday. We have an update that comes out. Start Sit drops tomorrow. I also put it in Reddit and answer questions. I usually dedicate about an hour and a half in the mornings when I put it on Reddit, answer questions, and then go through periodically through Sunday. And then I have my own little podcast that I do by myself called Sunday Best. It comes out on Monday mornings. Just a quick 10, 15 minutes going through. Don't hit every game or every player, just the biggest stories from the week and try to give you that advantage of getting ahead of the game with what's happening going into the next week.
Yeah, and also if you check out the Discord on Sunday mornings over at The Athletic, Jay Felicio is also over there. So definitely appreciate your time.
Go and Mondays.
Cockroaches. That's
Mondays at noon as well.
Your cockroach friends. will be joining you on the podcast. Once again, that was the amazing Jay Felicio of QB List. Good friend, even though he's a dookie. Whatever, stupid Duke. Make sure you give him a follow at GmanJ. Yeah, he's still a Giants fan, too. Man, how am I a friend with this guy? Anyway, make sure you give him a listen, give him a follow if you haven't already. And we'll be back on Friday, as always, for the injuries, updates, news, and everything as we head into the second to final weekend and hopefully continuing your playoff chases. Or again, you're just here for the fun. And that's why I like you. Okay, bye.